My journey started out, I guess, in Australia as a small child, becoming aware of other cultures and becoming aware of other languages that were happening around me in Melbourne. And I was very fascinated with that because I came from a monolingual, Anglophone, Irish, Catholic, Australian family. And there were lots of Italians and Greeks and Lebanese, and eventually there were more Asian families moving into the area where I live, but specifically I think it was Italian was the first foreign language that I heard and fascinated me. And I was about 4 or 5. At school my best friend was, as it turned out, the daughter of Italian parents. And so I determined that I would go to university and study Italian. I wanted to learn Italian. And that wasn't available to me at Monash, so I did Spanish. I did Indonesian and German, so I did modern languages and anthropology, and I wasn't going to be a linguist really, I was going to be an anthropologist, I thought. But my anthropology tutor said to me at the end of 2nd or 3rd year, I think you shouldn't do postgraduate work, I think you should go to Europe and work as a linguist because you've got such a skill for communicating in other languages. And so I did that. I went and taught English abroad and lived in Spain and Portugal and England and Ireland and travelled in Europe, but ended up in Australia again, working in Canberra, and still hadn't been to Italy. And Mum said, I think you need to go to Italy before you settle down, because Italy was where you wanted to go. I'd never been there. So I took off again, and that was a time of great transformation and change because I'd been in a long-term relationship that was looking like being the one, but I actually ended up leaving that relationship because that person didn't want to travel with me. So I went to Italy on my own and travelled around Europe again, and then ended up staying there. And so a lot of what I've done subsequently has dealt with identity, cultural identity, and I've done studies into that as well. It's an area that fascinates me, as well as having to explore my own cultural identity, living as a foreigner in Italy. So
yeah, Eleanor, you were saying that you'd learned a lot about what it feels like to be on the outside of another community, or yes, not of that particular culture. How has that affected how you are in the world?
It's forced me to explore what it means to be one of us and one of them. It's forced me to explore the different kinds of values and dimensions that you find in different cultures, and not to judge them, I think. Because what we tend to do is we tend to see something strange and think, oh, I don't agree with that, that's really bad, that's kind of, or not bad, but we judge negatively. Yeah. We often judge negatively things. I mean, some things we love, and a lot of people look at my life and say, you're so lucky you can drink cappuccino in the piazza every day, and I think, yeah, that's a bit of it. But,
yeah.
But we can often tend to look at things negatively. And cultures can impact negatively on one another, whether it might be political, or for people who are refugees or migrants, they can be shocked by culture. And
so what would your advice be, Eleanor, in terms of, for women who want to go out into the world, who perhaps have not had that opportunity in the past? What single piece of advice would you give?
I think, coming out of the conversations that we've had today, really listen to your own instincts about what your own truth is. Be tolerant. I mean, obviously we have to be tolerant and not be shocked. To be aware of the culture that we're in, as aware and informed as we can, but to really listen to your own truth and be honourable to your own values, I think. Because I think one of the things that happened to me living in Italy was that constantly feeling that I was wrong, or something I was doing in some way wasn't right. And I think now, no, it wasn't that at all, but that was just how I felt it, or I enabled that feeling.
So be honest to your own truth.
Yes, yeah, very much.
Eleanor, thank you so much for being part of We Wise Women. It's really lovely to talk to you.
Well, I'm delighted to be included amongst We Wise Women.
Thank you.
Thanks.